Hey, I'm Mike Thorn. I am the author of the novel Shelter for the Damned, which is available now from Journalstone. And I'm also the author of the short story collection Darkest Hours. Now, this edition is out of print, but the expanded edition comes out from Journalstone on June 11th. This new edition includes all 16 original stories with author notes, new cover art by Mikio Murakami, 17 essays on horror cinema, and a foreword by the great Sadie Hartmann. Shout out to Mother Horror, and thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of Celebrate Horror 2021. It's a real honor. I'm going to be reading an excerpt from a story in Darkest Hours called The AUTEUR. Kate lived in a dingy basement suite. Sparse furniture, a dim lamp glow, black lights drawing bluish surfaces across the gallery of garish posters adorning the walls. Tenebrae, Beyond the Darkness, The Driller Killer, The Devils. Despite their shared interests, Simon and Kate had never actually spent any time together outside the video store. He was as unsurprised by her creepy pad as he was excited to see her creepy films. Kate threw her coat on the floor beside him. Want a drink? Coors? Jack Daniels? If you're feeling anything else, there's a liquor store just down the street. No thank you, Simon said. I have to work in the morning. He watched Kate pour herself 6 fingers of whiskey and added, not unkindly, so do you. Coffee then? She asked, as if he hadn't spoken at all. He sighed and slouched into her liquor-sticky couch. Coffee would be fine. Kate disappeared into her bedroom, slurping from the glass of Jack. Simon heard rummaging, then a dim crash, and a creative assembly of mumbled obscenities. You all right in there? He called. Silence. Kate emerged a minute later, clutching 2 tapes in her fist. She tripped over a lump of laundry and sloshed booze all over the carpet. Fuck, she said plainly, popping one of the cassettes into her VCR. She sat beside Simon, close enough for the whiskey fumes to make his eyes water. She belched, and he regretted opening his mouth to yawn. She leveled her dark eyes on his. Ready? Simon fanned the burp away from his nose. I will die ready, Kate. Good one. She switched on the television, pressed play, and gulped the dregs of her drink. Simon expected to see amateurish opening credits, some try-hard red font, maybe accompanied by cringe-worthy MIDI scoring. What he saw was nothing of the sort. A static shot, a wall, dimly lit, filling the entire frame, unaccompanied by music. The image was stagnant, lingering, and for a moment Simon wondered if Kate was simply shooting wannabe minimalist garbage on her camcorder and labeling it horror. But the shot changed. The camera might have been zooming, or Kate might have implemented some subtle crossfades, but the wall seemed to be getting closer. And then a voice drifted into the scene. It was a man speaking, husky and weary sounding. The voice sounded cluttered, as if 2 people were attempting to speak from the same mouth. The effect made Simon's skin tingle. The camera moved in closer and closer, until Simon could see the wall's paint in vivid detail. The shot appeared to change with impossible speed, transforming from wide shot to extreme close-up in the space of a sneeze. The strangest thing was that no movement or edits were the slightest bit apparent. The shot became too close, so that the lens appeared to bury itself inside the wall. But the frame was not submerged in blackness. Instead, Simon had the unsettling sense that it was drawing him into its surface. The flaking paint was developing grotesque, textural detail. Animal hairs and the half-decayed exoskeleton of some wall-dwelling insect were twined within. And still it got closer. Simon registered that he was now seeing the atomic structure of the wall. To conceptualize atoms, his high school science classes had given him neatly geometric patterns. What he saw now was anything but neat, anything but clean. He saw misshapen globules, which clung to one another in revolving clumps, their porous, red tissue fuzzed the puckered linings. And the off-screen voice was now muffled and distanced, its tone fraught with frantic and miserable intonations. The shot delved not closer now, but deeper. And Simon thought for one maddening second that he might scream, when finally, the shot changed. Medium-wide shot, black and white. A human cadaver, split open, was sprawled across a kitchen table. A man wearing a double-breasted suit stood over the corpse, reaching into its gooey abscess with tweezers and a scalpel. The scene was unnerving in its silence and hyper-real in its anatomical details, but Simon took comfort in the fact that he'd seen such lifelike atrocities regularly, thanks to the makeup artistry of Tom Savini. That's what he kept telling himself anyway, but he couldn't quite ignore the sense that he was watching something not meant to be watched, that this operation was more documentary than fiction. The suited man dropped his instruments beside the body with a clang and expelled a cry of frustration. He plunged his arms elbow deep into the bloody fissure. His shoulders twitched and jolted, as if he was struggling with something that didn't want to leave the corpse. "This reminds me of Begotten a little bit," Simon said, a desperate effort to break the silence. Kate slapped his forearm hard. "Shh." Simon would have got up and left if he wasn't so utterly mesmerized by the images on screen, and so he complied. He shut up and watched. The suited man moved away from the slab, holding what he'd sought to extract, an inky black spinal cord, lashing in his hands like a threatened animal, spattering ichor. He held the bottom half in his trembling fists, but the top half remained deeply entrenched in the cadaver, suctioned to the necrotic flesh. The man screamed once, then continued pulling. He squeezed his lips shut and shook his head, then screamed again. The shot moved closer and closer, and the tape ended. A palpable silence fell on the room. "So?" Kate gave Simon an expectant smile. "That was fucked up, right?" Thank you so much for listening and for supporting horror fiction. Again, my name is Mike Thorn. If you want to connect with me, my website is mikethornwrites.com. I'm on Twitter and Instagram. Mike Thorn Writes is my handle on both of those platforms. So please do connect and stay spooky, everybody.